I'd like to get into kind of the meat of the training a little bit so people can have an idea of what happens on the ground. Brittney, could you provide a description of the training model that you follow or that we all follow during the volunteer trips?
Yeah, sure. So this is, something that I think people outside of the organization aren't really as aware of. They think that, oh, it's great, you get to go to these other countries and work with kids in need there. But really, what we look to do is help to build conceptual understanding for the staff so that when we leave, they have a handle on those concepts and they can implement them as needed in whatever way makes sense culturally in their centers. So that's kind of the big focus that we have. There's a lot that goes into it. Every site is different and where they are in their understanding of ABA and how to apply it to the kids, and the resources that they have and the number of staff that they have is different. So that's definitely considered. So when we go over there, we kind of have an idea of some of the concepts that we're going to work on. But when you get there, you make sure that it actually matches with what the staff are interested in learning. And you might find that you have some things that you both agree on and some things that you don't agree on, or maybe are not going to be the center of learning on that trip. But the biggest thing is that you make sure that whatever concept you do land on is important to that site. Otherwise, you can teach something and they can understand it, but if they're not going to implement it, then you haven't really touched on what you need to be doing for that trip. So again, each site is a little bit different. Sometimes you lead a big presentation, like a PowerPoint. Sometimes it might just be more of like a roundtable conversation to generate ideas. I've had sites that I've gone to where they really want the PowerPoint presentation. That seems to be their way of learning that they're comfortable with. And then the following days, you look to support their skills in sessions directly. So, you ask them or point out how they can implement some of the things that you've been teaching to them. Other sites, they might have a really good handle on concepts, but just be a little uncomfortable in implementing them. So you're almost there to kind of encourage them to try out these ideas and kind of press them to discuss it as a group among their staff to continue to kind of drive different thoughts and ideas. And I was most recently in Nigeria, and they were very concerned about their data sheets, and there's these set structured data sheets, and I feel like it would help if we did it this way, and I think this should be on it. And really it was just us saying, like, well, do those things, you can make a data sheet. And they were like, oh, we can make a data sheet.
Yeah.
So you just as we do here in the States with our kids, you really individualize based on what the center needs. Always keeping in mind that the way that they implement things has, kind of you remember the cultural framework and ensure that you're working within that.
Right, exactly. And I'm glad you brought up the data sheets thing, because that has happened in the past where our partners are like, just give it to me. Don't you have something already? Can't you just print something out or share something with me? But this whole idea of do with, not for, so that we can give them the skills and they can know how to create other data sheets in the future. Like, what good is it if we just hand them something that was made for our benefit?
Right.
And also this, I like how you said asking them what they think is important. We have this Venn diagram that we reference a lot where it's, what is essential to us for training, and what is preferable to us, what is essential for them. And in that middle ground, you have what is sustainability, right? And that's really what's going to last. Jessie, do you mind talking a little bit about our approach using Socratic questioning?
I'll give it my best shot.
Yeah.
So it's kind of along the lines of the doing with, not for. And when you're having those trainings or discussions, instead of just coming in as in the mode of like, I'm the expert, I'm here to tell you everything I know, setting it up as much more of a conversation and asking questions that help expand our partner's thinking and reasoning. Um, and it's something that, like, a lot of this applies, you can use it in so many aspects of like your just regular life too, but to really, it kind of takes the problem solving method that we've been trained to do, that sometimes like we've internalized at this point, and it makes it a conversation to help our partners kind of process their questions and be able to almost get to their own answer, um, through that conversation, instead of it just being a question that they ask and we just give them what we know.
Yep. Yeah, that was great. Thanks. And yeah, also kind of fostering that critical thinking skill in them too. It's a great way to assess what they already know by asking them how they would maybe handle a situation or what they've tried in the past.
And
Um,
sometimes, oh,
mhm.
sorry. I
Go
think
ahead.
it's just even providing the opportunity, for a lot of our partners to have that conversation with another professional, because I've been in a lot of conversations where the partner sites and the partner staff, like, they know the answer almost. Like, they might need a little feedback to get there, but they're on the right path. And it's just that ability to pair with, another professional with similar or different experiences to kind of validate their thinking. And it's,
Right.
you see that connection made, and it's really impactful.
Mm-hmm.
I think another thing the Socratic questioning and method does too, is it really just gives them ownership of the idea, and then that helps them
Yep.
put it into existence. I think sometimes if somebody just tells you an answer, you can, respond and you can just kind of go with that, but you're not able to apply it. But if you help them come up with it, they feel pretty empowered, and um, I think it sticks better in their brain. They're going to pull from that at a later date.
Yep.
And it leads to being able to apply it to the next time something comes up. And be like, oh, we talked through this. Like, I can now do that, like with my partner in country or on my own, to try to solve my own problems and not be stuck just because you're given that answer for that one situation one time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Andrew, do you have anything to add?
I have a few things to say about sustainability also, the other
Yeah.
part of
Go
the
ahead.
training model. It's drawn from one of the cornerstones of ABA as a field, social validity. The things that we choose for interventions have to be relevant and applicable to the social context, or they're not going to be effective. So, like, materials and teaching should be in perhaps the client's preferred language, in the mode of modality of communication that they're able to use, reflective of certain social customs, like certain ways of greetings or social gestures that may not be appropriate in different cultures. So one time I remember working with a client who was in a Hispanic culture where it was a lot more appropriate to hug people than it is like, in the more mainstream American culture. So we would have to delineate with them, like, it's okay to hug your family members, but like not with everybody else randomly that you meet on the street, or even just your friends maybe. So I mean that's an area of discrimination like you'd be normally working with, but it gets more complicated when you have to deal with a cultural factor like that. And as
Right.
far as it applied to the partner site that I was at, in the Czech Republic, there isn't a very wide presence or understanding of autism as it is. There's a lack of general government support, and we have to start with making sure that people are aware that there is a need for services, that there's a need for treatment out there in the first place. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter how good your staff is or how much they work, how well they work with the parents. If nobody's going to fund it, this isn't going to work. So that's why one of the goals at the center was social media marketing, getting the word out, and that's also where I came in, was to raise some awareness of what autism exactly is and what GAP does out there. Because you have to start with the very basics, creating a need, a motivation for there to be support for the services in the first place, or you're not going to get anywhere.
You've been watching Autism Knows No Borders. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, we'd love to hear from you, so let us know what you think in the comments section. Click here to watch this interview in its entirety. You can also find us on your favorite podcast app. Tune in each week for engaging conversations of how people across the globe are inspiring change and building community. Thanks for watching. Take care.